Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to the Average Joe Dividend YouTube channel. If you've been following this journey, welcome back. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe so that you do not miss future videos. Also, please click the like button to help grow this channel and get the word out on dividend growth investing. Getting paid just for owning stocks. This is what dividend growth investing is all about. This is my weekly buy video, and my current strategy is to deposit $100 my own money per week and let the portfolio do the heavy lifting for me going forward. All dividends received will be reinvested back into that stock from which it was received. My goal is to put this money to work for me in the long term to build a growing and reliable income stream. I am a long-term buy and hold investor who focuses primarily on individual blue chip stocks as well as ETFs and CEFs. What we're looking at right now is my taxable M1 stock brokerage account. This is about 15% of my net worth. Most of my net worth is tied up in ETFs like VTI and VU as well as SCHD. And I recommend, of course, this is not investing advice, that you build a very strong base of ETFs that are well diversified with low fees like a VTI, VU, SCHD. Let's just take a look at the performance of this portfolio over time. The last year it's gone up nicely. I was down in the 190s just back last year in March. You can see it's gone up over the 200s, and back in October same thing, went down to the 190s, but you can see it's pretty much gone up and looks like the trend is still continuing upward. And we are not quite at all-time highs for ETFs like VTI, VU, and SCHD. They're still off by a few percentages. We'll get into that in just a little bit. I'm going to jump into the activity log because if you're watching this video, you're probably curious to see what I'm buying. And what I've done is I've picked 5 different stocks, and $20 a piece is what I'm putting into these. And again, this is not investing advice. This is just what I'm investing in and what I think personally may be a good buy at this time. And first up, I picked the Black Hills. Black Hills has been struggling, but they're a proven dividend payer, and they did skip their last dividend increase, but I think over time, Black Hills, maybe next year, year after that, they're going to increase that dividend. But the energy sector as a whole, I've seen, especially my holdings, things have been going down. And if you believe in a position like I do with Black Hills, in the long run, that's the time to be buying things, is when they're going down, but it's still a solid company. And same for Pepsi, put $20 into them. They've been pretty much flat over the past couple of years. They really haven't gone up too much, but Pepsi's last dividend increase was 10%, so they're growing that income. Those profits are going up for Pepsi. Avista, much like Black Hills, it's an energy sector stock. $20 into Avista. And then Digital Realty. This is a dividend drip, so I drip that right back into Digital Realty. And then Yum Brands, if you're not familiar with them, their most popular restaurant in the portfolio is Taco Bell. So if you like Taco Bell and believe in them, maybe take a look at Yum Brands. And I put $20 into Yum. And then Oracle, put $20 into them. They're a pretty good growth stock, as well as growing that dividend. I believe the last time Oracle increased their dividend, it was at 25%, which is huge. So I'm going to click done there, and I'm going to jump over to a spreadsheet here. I'll leave a link below to this spreadsheet. So if you are a dividend investor as well in individual stocks, this is really handy. This sheet shows all the positions that are in my portfolio. I have a company ticker symbol, share price. I just use a simple Google Finance function to pull that share price live, so you're going to see this changing. And then the shares, I just pull that from the M1 data tab below, And in a minute, we're actually going to update that M1 data tab, and we're going to see the share price, or the number of shares will change as I've bought fractionals of those 6 positions. Remember the 5 I put the $20 in, and then the dividend drip with Digital Realty. So those 6 positions are going to see a change in their share price, or number of shares, and the cost basis. You can see here, here's the market value of Apple, my cost basis. You can see my gain or loss, and then the percent gain or loss. You can see Apple doing well in, and then Black Hills, remember that was one of the buys. We're going to be over 28 shares soon. In that, you can see I'm down 8.45%. You can see the dividends per share. Most of my positions are quarterly pairs. I do have a couple monthly pairs, and I've noted those in blue. You can see O Realty and BST. Those are my monthly pairs. The rest are all quarterly. And we can see the yield percentage. If I were to buy more Apple stock, this is the current yield at 0.5%. But here's the yield on my cost, and this is something that's really important to track and see that over time, especially if you're buying a stock that goes up in value and also increases that dividend, you're going to see that yield on cost be different. You can see here with Exxon, I bought most of these shares, these 12 shares, when right around COVID time. So it was like $40, $50, $60 a share. And you can see if you were to buy Exxon today at 3.95%, but my yield on cost is 8.71% because I bought it for about half of what it's at right now. And we can see the pay date. This is how I have all these arranged by right now. I have them in ascending order. So once Apple announces a new pay date in 2024, I'm going to put that new date and then sort it. And you can see it's all in order here. And we're going to go down to January, because we're in January right now. We're going to take a look and see all the dividends paid so far. For the month, I've received the sum of $140.79, and of course I have reinvested those dividends right back into the portfolio, right back into those stocks. You can see here in purple for Costco, I just changed the color on that to show there was a special dividend being paid. If there wasn't a special dividend, I would have received about $2.48, but Costco announced that special dividend of $15 per share. You can see I own 2.43 shares, and that's why that was so much more. And Costco does this every couple of years, but when you count this into their total dividends, it really raises their dividend. It's much more than the less than 1%. Right now it's at 0.59%. So I really like Costco. It's a good grower. You can see how it's done for me. It's gone up by 69%. And plus I get that special dividend in there as well as the normal dividend, which is nice. You can see I track the total dividends. Let's take a look at like a position like BST. I've received over $4,500 in dividends from BST. And I've also seen appreciation in the share price as well. And what I'm waiting for next with BST is hopefully they'll be raising that dividend per share. It's been at 25 cents now for a few years, and hopefully if the tech sector does well, I'd like to see that go up to 27, 28 cents. We'll see in the future. That'll be nice. You can see I have 1,800 shares right now, and times a penny or two, that's really going to add up. So you can see I'm expecting a $450 dividend at the end of January. I don't count that yet because I have not received it, so I consider it still projected. And I also track the last increase with dividend raises, and you can see some of them. Like, let's take a look at Oracle. I mentioned them. I put in $20 into Oracle, and take a look at their last increase was in March of 2023, and it was 25%. Will we see a 25% increase in Oracle in 2024? I'm not counting on it. If it's a 10% increase, I'll be happy with that. But you can see with Oracle, though, I've had a pretty good return with them. but they're not a very high dividend payer, but they are a grower. So you can see all the different positions in my portfolio. I have some stocks that are more slower growers that pay a higher dividend, and that would be a candidate like Verizon. Verizon's not a huge grower, even though it's recovered. I think their Verizon not too long ago was like in the high 20s or low 30s, and it's made a really nice recovery. You can see though, with my small gain, I've bought a lot of my shares in the high 30s. But for my next dividend, which will be coming next month, though, I'm expecting $50.48 just from Verizon. I know most of us we see the inverse where we actually receive a bill from Verizon, and in my case I receive money from Verizon, which is nice. I don't use Verizon, but I think they offer a good service. It's very expensive. I actually use Mint Mobile, and if they work well in your area, I actually recommend them. It's about $20 per month when you count in all the taxes and fees. A lot of people say it's $15, but I would say it's closer to 18 or 20. But anyway, I'm off on a tangent there. So you can see here the market value of the portfolio. You can see my cost basis, and this is my gain or loss in the total portfolio. You can see it just changed there as these are live stats being pulled. Here's the yield percentage average of the whole portfolio, my average yield on cost, and this is the dividend added up for the quarter. Since I have some monthly payers, I have to have a little array here where it pulls in the 450 and the 1193 for O and adds it in 2 more times. You can see the G67 times 2, and because it adds up all the quarterly payers plus the monthly payers, and right now in this O and BST are only counted once, so I have to add them in 2 more times to come up with the total quarterly dividends. And you can see I count the monthly cash flow average is at $915.98. That's about to go up because of the fractional shares I bought. It's going to be a pretty modest amount, but it's not just my weekly buys that are adding to my monthly cash flow average. It's those dividend drips and also the dividend raises, and those really add up going over time. You can see the quarterly amount, $27.47, almost at that $11,000 per year. So this portfolio alone, and again, this is only 15% of my net worth. I know a lot of people like to comment, why, Joe, do you have so many different positions? And the answer is I like to follow all these, and also personal finance is very personal, and I'm very well set up with all the ETFs that I have. Anyway, doing quite well. My total net worth is over 1.4 million, so this 226 is not the majority of my net worth. So what we're going to do is we're going to update this sheet. We're going to jump over to the M1 data tab here in just a second. And here's something I was alluding to before with we are not quite at all-time highs. For indexes, we can see VTI. The high water mark is at 244.06, so we're still down 1.43%. And SCHD is nearly 7% off of its all-time high. A lot of people will just go back to the 52-week high. I'm going back to the all-time high for both VTI and SCHD, so we're not quite there on all-time highs. So I get to the M1 data tab, and this is where that VLOOKUP comes into place, where it has all my positions. I'm going to paste in here in just a second, and then it aligns the shares and the cost basis. That's what it's going to update over on the dividend portfolio tab over here with the shares and cost basis, and it's going to change my monthly cash flow average as well. So let's import that data really quick. We'll go to the holdings tab, which shows all of my holdings from the largest to the smallest. We can see SCHD, which is an ETF, a well-diversified dividend-paying ETF, very popular here on YouTube. You can see I have over 1,100 shares just in this portfolio. I have even more in an IRA, about additional 1,800 more shares of SCHD over there. So I grab the data over here, go to the M1 data tab. We're going to paste special this in. Again, it's going to use a VLOOKUP to pull the number of shares and the cost basis for those 6 positions. It's actually going to update. If I bought a little bit of everything, it would update all of those accordingly. So rather than me having to type in the new shares and the new cost basis for every position where I bought more shares, it's all updated there. You can see now the monthly is changed to 9/16/28. We're going to jump over to the monthly average dividend tracking tab, and this tracks everything from dividend raises. You can see this is in 2022, SCHD raised their dividend, and that changed my monthly income by $21. You can see a couple of them, like Jeppy. I used to own Jeppy, and they were lowering their dividend there, and that's what that did to my monthly income. So we're going to get to present day, but there's constant dividend raises, things like that, dividend drips, and they just modestly, sometimes modestly, sometimes a little bit more, they increase my dividend income. We can see SCHD, which historically has had its largest dividend increase announced in December. We can see that added $32.50 to my monthly income, but in March I'm going to predict it, and this is historically accurate with SCHD, that SCHD announces a lower dividend in the first quarter of the year. So I see some of that $32.50 being eroded, maybe like about $10-12, we'll see. But in December of 2024, I predict it's going to go up even more, possibly than this $32.50, as I have more shares. So we'll see, and we'll see if the increase is actually even more, because the increase from 2023 or 2022 to 2023 was pretty modest for SCHD. But what I need to do here is put in the new monthly rates, and we're at 9/16/28, so we'll make that update. And again, it's not going to be a very large change to my monthly income, but this is ongoing. It's going to change and add an additional 30 cents every month to my dividend income, just with the $100 deposit and the digital realty dividend drip. But when you add up all these over time, it's a snowball. It just keeps going up and up. So I'm going to go over to the dividend tracker tab. I've been doing these videos since January of 2021, and just to kind of give you a little bit of history of where this money came from, it initially started by me just taking I gave myself like a $100 allowance every week just to spend it on whatever it was, video games or whatever it was at the time. And I just began saving that as I needed less and less things, and just wanted to spend less money on just consumable things. So I just started saving it in a savings account, as well as selling things on eBay, whether it was things I already owned or even things that I was reselling. And eventually this just snowballed. This is probably from about 2017 to 2021 is where I got this $18,700. This was not really a part of my main investing either. This was just kind of a side thing, the $100 a week, and you can see the deposit reflects that. But just full disclosure, beginning in 2022, I had some money from a home I no longer own. I had home equity, and I dumped about $150,000 into this portfolio, which really kick-started it again and really increased it. But for the most part, it was $100 a week pretty much going in deposits, sometimes less, because for the month of January 2021 it was only $300, but sometimes it was a little bit more, and then depending on me selling things and putting in more for those deposits. But right now I'm back to that $100 a week. But you can see how the portfolio has gone up over time, and we're at the 226 mark. And also I'm tracking the dividends paid each month. We see last month in December, I got over $1,500 in dividends just from this portfolio alone. You can see the quarterly payments here, how it's gone up, and the quarter-on-quarter increase. And I started tracking the average monthly dividend, and the reason for that is when you own a lot of dividend-paying stocks, they don't all pay in the same month. It's kind of a little bit lumpy, and if you have a bunch of them like me, the majority of them pay in the third month of the quarter, which is every March, June, September, and December, and that's why December was that big month of the 1,500. But you can see here in October, that's the first month of Q4, second month, and then the third month. So that's pretty much how my payment schedule goes. And I wanted to show something that was more even to show progress. So I took the quarterly dividends and divided the average and divided by 3, and I got a monthly dividend. So you can see how that's just slowly going up. There are just a few of them where it went down. This was because of JEPI, which I no longer own, and this was SCHD. So I expect in March 2024 I'm going to have a drop in my monthly income as they announce a lower dividend from their one in December. But I know what's going to happen. It's going to probably be around the $12 mark again, but it's going to go up. You can see what it did in December, where my monthly income went up by $46.94, which wiped that out right there. And we can see right now, just in the month of January, I've increased my monthly income by $3.46. There's my deposit in there for the 4th week. You can see we're getting really close to that $11,000. You can see also the annual increase too by month as well. You can see December was a pretty big one, added a lot more income, annual income, as well as monthly as well. So that's pretty much what I wanted to go over today was what I purchased. We'll go back over those picks real quick, because I know when I first started investing in individual stocks, I wanted to know what people were buying and when, because I think it's really important. But again, this is not investing advice. So my pick was Black Hills, Pepsi, Avista, Yum Brands, and Oracle. So let me know in the comments below what you're buying this week and what you think of my picks as well. Thanks for sticking to the end. If you got value from this video, please click the like button. Also subscribe so that you do not miss future videos. Everyone, thanks again for sticking to the end and watching this video. Everyone, take care.